Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Just want to, everybody who was at the live event just saw a little commercial for a company called Virtual Approval, which is the production company that has been helping me produce the event today. But this is not, just did not manifest today. It's been a long time coming. I just really want to share my appreciation for Rachel and Matt and Nick, who are on this call, and Cameron, who's not here today, but we'll forgive him, who have just been incredible partners. And this event would not happen in this way. I'd still find a way to make it happen, but it wouldn't happen in this way without them. So you can't see them because they're working back here and they're not allowed on the screen. But thank you, Rachel and team Virtual Approval, so much. Highly recommend. Look them up. Rachel, I think you're in the chat, please put your contact information in there. Thank you so much. Okay, we have a very special guest. I'm going to say a very special guest because I love working with Matt Mahoney, and we try to work together a lot, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, only because he's so busy doing so many other things in the industry. One of the other things he does in the industry is he supports the user groups out there. He invests his time and his money in industry events, in being there for people. So I just want to, say thank you for that, first of all, and thank you for being here for me and the Printiverse today. It really matters, Matt. You are a stellar citizen of the Printiverse. Printiverse salute, as we say.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm blushing now. Wasn't expecting that.
Well,
Well, thank you, Deborah. Yeah.
oh, thank like I said, thank you for being there, which is half the battle, right? Although the title of your presentation is understanding the digital shift is 90% mental, and the other half is physical, which I don't really do math, but that doesn't add up to me necessarily. So Matt, you are the executive VP of sales and marketing at Racami. Racami is revolutionizing the way communications are produced and distributed through their flagship customer communications management system called Alchemy. Now, you're hosting a breakout session after this session where you can get into the details of how your platform works, how it helps everybody. But for right now, if you could just give a 30,000-foot interview about Alchemy and about Racami and how you can help. What your tagline is you help printers and their clients create stronger customer relationships.
Yeah, yeah. So if you think about it today, and I've seen a lot of the sessions today, they've been very good. There is an offline world and an online world, right? And traditional print is physical pieces that people are interacting with. And the online world is all the digital stuff, the email, the text message, the websites, the various things that are going on there. And so what we do is help organizations, printers, let's say, deal with this offline and online world that are sort of segmented and show them how to glue them together so that you're not just dealing with jobs and printed pieces, you're dealing with a consumer, a citizen, a patient, right? There's an individual out there that's receiving these communications. And so that's the way we think about the world is who's receiving these communications, what's their preference, and sometimes it's print, sometimes it's digital. And that can change over time, right? If they go on vacation for a month, maybe they want to go digital so they don't fill up their mailbox. And then when they get back, they'll go back to paper. So that's the world that we live in. And the conversations that we have with our customers are really around the communications that go out, whether you're in healthcare or, a phone company or a bank or whatever, then, that's kind of the world that we live in terms of printing.
I mean, omni-channel communications, customer communications, online, offline. Customers can choose where they want to be, as you mentioned, or they can be everywhere, but they have to have options. This is not a new conversation, but many printers insist that they just print and they leave these other channels to others. But, as I said, as they overlap now, and printers really are in the center of companies' communications, and especially since the pandemic drove a lot of people to digital channels, there is a significant growth opportunity. And I'm going to say growth opportunity because people in the space, they understand it. They're just adding tools and partners to it. But for everyone who's not in the space, this is a tremendous growth opportunity. And that can be accomplished internally if you have the right systems and partners in place, or externally through partners to help clients, printing customers, or if you're a business out there, help your clients manage their communications of all kind, not just the printed kind. So Matt, jump in with your perspective. And then I know that we actually have a hybrid session today where you did some amazing customer interviews as well.
Yeah. I did interview a few leaders of companies. So we'll share that sound here in just a little bit, where we talked to them about, and they are also hybrid printers. So you'll see some of these people that we talked to, they run companies where they're doing commercial print, they're doing direct mail, and they're sending out bills, transaction processing, all within the four walls of one company, right? And so they've figured that out, that they can leverage the equipment that they have to serve different kinds of customers in different markets. The printers are the same, the workflows might be a little different, right? And they may be sending some emails instead of printed pieces, but what that does is allow them to better serve their customer, get a tighter relationship with that customer. They're less commoditized, right? So that they're not just competing on price. And there's some fancy things that they can do. Like one of our customers is a fulfillment house. They send, one of the jobs is for a healthcare organization, and they send out literature to patients on behalf of the healthcare company to teach the patients how to take care of themselves. So if you have diabetes and heart disease, you get one set of brochures and so on. So that fulfillment used to happen in a very sort of archaic, send spreadsheets across with data in them and key it in and send out literature. So what we did is we connected the fulfillment system to the hospital Cerner system, the patient healthcare system, so that we could get that data synchronized with the fulfillment system. And then the nurses go online and they use a dashboard to place the orders for the literature that goes to their patients. And it just streamlines that whole process of fulfillment, makes it faster. And now the fulfillment house, because they have a direct integration to the Cerner healthcare system, it's not a commodity anymore. It's very hard for that hospital to go down the street and ask somebody else to do the fulfillment for them, right? So as you say, it's great for growth in revenue, different options to create revenue streams and serve that customer better and less commodity. So we do have a couple of videos we can show, and we'll segment this into two parts. So the first part is just talking to three particular leaders and asking them some questions about, how did they dip their toe into the digital waters, and what kinds of feedback and advice they have for the audience. So if you'd like, we could show that now. As you guys have, progressed your business and you're probably getting requests from customers on, can you do emails for me? Can you do text? Can you present something on the web? What kinds of things have you done to support those demands? Like, how have you dealt with it? Is there something you want to share that's either been like a challenge for you, or a new service that you got into and you said, oh, wow, that's not really what we thought it would turn out to be? Something like that you could share with the audience?
Our initial experience with digital channels was just simply providing, this was years ago, but simply providing a PDF image of the correspondence that we were printing for our clients back to them so that they could archive that image in their internal archiving system and sometimes customer-facing portals. And then we also dabbled in some email marketing campaigns and banner ads using a vendor partner as a reseller. And then eventually we added email delivery for transactional print. So our clients can specify print or email delivery, at the record level, and then we execute that delivery method.
I
So
see. Okay.
that's been very well received by our clients.
It has. Okay. And when you got into that, um, was it like a smooth transition? Like, what was the first thing you did? Did you knock on vendors' doors and say, "Hey, do you have this kind of service?" Or did you thought about doing it in-house, or
Yeah, so we were kind of and this is we were talking to our clients about what they were interested in. We were seeing opportunities out there, and so we did a lot of research. We talked to a lot of vendors, and there were a lot of platforms. And over the years, and even more so now, but there are a lot of companies that have expertise in this area. So we did a lot of research, and then ended up partnering with Racami to add that service to our service offerings.
Yeah, sure. I will say this, that there's no one solution that is going to do it for everybody across the board. So, and I know everybody in the industry knows this. It depends on the industry, it depends on who they're trying to target, but there's so many variables that are involved in how to reach the goal that a specific client is trying to reach, that you need to make sure you start out with a list of questions. What are they trying to accomplish? Is it, a finance company that is trying to drive to an event, a meeting event? Is it somebody that's trying to drive foot traffic into a retail location? It just so depends. So like the journey is different for every type of industry and every type of company out there. And sometimes people find that super challenging. We find it really exciting because no day is ever the same here at Kessler. And I think there's probably quite a few companies out there like us, but that's the thing, is that you're never going to have an answer that's the same for all your companies across the board.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as a
Yeah.
service provider, then, because you span so many industries, how do you deal with that, like maybe from a technology perspective, or so that you can serve that variety of customers, but not go crazy with all kinds of different things have you been able to centralize the tool set?
So to some extent, so there are certain, like we were on one platform for 2 years that we used, that had, all the digital components that went along with the hard mail, and it would enhance, and so say it had text message marketing in it, email marketing, retargeting. Again, like not every client wanted to touch all of those, right? So this client might have wanted to only focus on text message marketing. Well, this client only wanted to focus on the email campaign, the drop before and the drop after, based on when the direct mail hit. So with that kind of with that kind of client, it's not a platform based, like where they can log in. They usually don't care. They don't have time to log in anyway. They want us to send us what they need. But we can do email marketing, not through a platform, but through like a source that we use. We can time it based right. We can also add in like retargeting, ads through a different vendor, that kind of thing. So, but maybe they're not getting it all in one platform, but we're still able to target and do what they need as an attachment to their direct mail. And of course, the results are, we're seeing an uptick no matter what, from just mail to that. But we have a platform we've been looking at and very much interested. Price point seems to be a little more reasonable for the client. But it's another one that offers all kinds of things, right? All kinds of digital components to mail. And it's a platform based where somebody can log in and see, but you got to have the right customer for that.
Yeah, I see. So you've been talking about a platform, which is interesting. So rather than like having your own tool that maybe you build that you connect to an email system or a texting system or AdBuys or whatever, you've chosen to go with like a platform where it's sort of all in one, and you can manage the sophistication within the platform itself. So if you were to distill it down, what are some of the like key important elements to be successful in this communication of offline and online, and how to tie those things together? And it could be anything from technology or workflows or concepts that you want to share.
Yeah, I think I'll start with the concept. I mean, really important distinction when you think about digital advertising, which is very appealing because of all the metrics and measurement you get compared to something like direct mail, I think you have to think about it that marketing is really directly communicating with known audiences. So you have a direct communication with someone you know, like a mailing list, whereas advertising is indirectly communicating with unknown audiences. You're basically marketing to people through basically proxies like cookies and devices on walled gardens like Facebook, Amazon, and so forth. And so that's an important distinction. Even though the appeal that digital has all the measurement, you actually can get better measurement when you're marketing to people you know, because you can do things like holdouts and measure lift over control and get at things like incrementality, which is difficult on digital.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that's an important distinction to make, that the direct sort of marketing to people you know, and then the advertising that is more obscure, right? Because you don't know how to respond to that. So if somebody was just starting to get their feet wet, a commercial printer, what direction would you lean them towards? Would it be like, is it easier to get into the advertising versus direct marketing, or is one sort of easier to get into than the other?
Well, if you're already into print, there's kind of two paths. You can either say, I'll take my print, like a direct mail piece or a catalog, and I'll find ways to connect to digital, or I can think about doing concurrent digital, like in parallel, like email or advertising on Facebook. And so when you think about connecting to digital, there's actually over 25 ways now to connect a printed postcard to online. And for example, we all have seen QR codes, right? A QR code is basically a shortcut. It's a bookmark for a URL, if you will, that your camera on your phone recognizes, and it connects us online. But we all know that there's many other ways, right? We can text in things. We certainly can make phone calls. We can, talk. There's usually speech-enabled devices. And so all the direct mail pieces can use call to actions to get people to type URLs, text things, scan QR codes. And so connecting from offline to online is certainly one way to get started in bridging the two.
I see. So if you're a printer, you want to have printed pieces that drive people to the other channels, either through QR code or, a URL that's listed or something like that on the piece. Yeah,
it's one way to get started. And people have been doing that for a while, like the evolution, right? We started off with 1-800 numbers as a direct response vehicle, then website URLs, and now we have QR codes and other technologies.
Okay, so a lot of great advice in those interviews there. I know there were just tidbits. I actually had a lot of conversation with them that we don't have time to share here. But one of the things that I picked up on from all of them is sort of this approach with the technology to lean on your vendors, right? Because if you find good vendor partners who are in this space, they know how to create the software for you, then they'll help you to deploy it, to talk to your customers, to sell the service to your customers, and to really get established in that new line of business. And so if you find the right vendors, they won't just leave you with software and walk away. They'll become a partner, an extension of your organization, and help you be successful in that. Because if you're successful in it, they'll be successful because you'll use their software.
So, Matt, I mean, it's fascinating to hear from people who, I say they overcame the fear factor of something new. Now, John, obviously from Quad, he did an amazing presentation about earlier about the trailblazing history of print, past, present, and future. So he's invested in this in a different way than Shelly and Dina are. And they both alluded to the fact about having the right customers. And I could almost argue now, who's not the right customer? You don't have to do everything for them, but what business out there doesn't have a mailing list, a social media channels, and some sort of printed communications? So before we, move further, I really want to address those people who are probably the 90% that are watching this that just don't know where to start as, like, let's say, like a mere mortal, and not like people who already have these customers in place with these big communication initiatives.
Yeah, it can be scary because if you're not used to dealing with data, for example, right, maybe you don't have people on staff that are used to data processing and preparing personalized communications and sending emails. I mean, it sounds easy to send an email, right? We do it every day, but when you do it in bulk, in mass, in large quantities, you can make mistakes fast. And there's other little things like IP warm up, right? If you're not familiar with that, you got to make sure that you don't send a million emails in one day that you've never sent before because you'll get blocked, right? You'll be called a spammer. So you want to send a little bit every day until you can get the volumes up, and that protects you, and the ISP start to trust you and all that. So it is it's justified to be a little bit fearful, but there's, like I said, there's lots of good vendors and technology. This is stuff that's been going on for a long time. We're not, cutting edge these days with digital. It's a lot of the stuff that is advanced has been around for a while. And so the complex cross-channel communications and the workflows are getting easier and easier to set up. You don't have to be a developer and a programmer, and business people can set these things up and start to execute the campaigns. And you can start slow. Let's start with email and then get comfortable with that, and then move on to other things. And when you start getting into it, and you start to get more advanced, you'll do the cross-channel. You'll put business rules that say, hey, if they didn't open the email and we tried 3 times, let's revert to a printed piece, right? And the workflow can automatically do that, so that you don't have to have somebody, watching over it. And so anyway, the fear is probably justified, but easy to trust and get over that hurdle because of the advancement of the tools and the capabilities of the vendors. The vendors know what they're doing and can really help you as a printer.
Yeah, and to your point, this comes up a lot with e-commerce systems, and people, the printers, they don't want to launch unless every single product that they could possibly create that they've ever created in their entire career is up on the storefront. And I'm always like, start with the 3 most popular things that you don't want to talk to humans about anymore, like trifold brochures and business cards, and maybe a direct mail piece, something that is just takes a few clicks for someone to make a decision, and then start adding things to it. And that is really what this is all about, because at the end of the day, and you mentioned this in the beginning, when you first came on, print is a commodity in most cases, or it is treated that way. I'm not saying I agree it should be, but it is treated that way because part of it is the messaging that comes from printers. We have the best quality, price, and service, which are 3 things that are commodity based because I can compare them. How do I compare peace of mind of not getting my emails blacklisted? And by the way, my email list is 9,000 people, and I have problems with it, even though I am not a known spammer. I use a company, but still things happen, and you really need to. So it's that peace of mind, those partners, so let's focus on you for a moment. How does Racami give people, printers, peace of mind?
Yeah. I have a good example from yesterday, actually. I was talking to a customer. They are primarily a mailer, so print and mail, and they have a big opportunity with a healthcare organization, an insurance company, and that customer is asking them questions about the digital, and they're not comfortable with that. They have the fear. They're like, hey, well, we don't have processes, technology, we don't do that kind of stuff. So they asked me. They said, hey, can I split this deal with you? We'll do the print, you provide the services for the digital, and we'll link our systems together. And that's a perfect example of how we help our customers, right? We don't only bring the technology to the table. For those that want to buy it and manage it themselves, they can. We have cloud offerings, and we provide a service that you can outsource to us. So you can sell it as a reseller. It's part of your mix, and that's a good first step, but you're relying on us because we do have the technology, the processes, the people to support those kinds of digital workflows. So that's to answer your question, there's different ways that we do it, but that's one good example.
And I do believe we have one other video that you wanted to play. So can you set that up?
Yeah, do we have time for that?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So this next video, it's a continuation of the interviews with the three people you saw previously. But now we're just getting down to some tidbits of information. What would be the last bit of advice, a nugget of advice that they would give to the audience? Of all the work that you did there, is there one piece of advice you would give to the audience? So when how do you choose the vendor, or was it an economic decision? Was it something you said, well, we don't want to buy the software because we don't have the expertise in house to manage it ourselves, or like what would you tell somebody who's never done it before, who wants to take that first step?
Well, I would say it's not just a financial decision. I think finding that solution that fits best with your company and what you're already doing, and also with the what you expect your your level of service to be that your client needs. So we did have several vendors that we talked to, and they all had solutions. We found the one that fit best for us and was scalable, so that we could get our toe in the water, and then it would grow with us. So we chose a web-based platform rather than buying software or trying to build it out ourselves. And so that was what worked best for us.
Okay, great. All right. Well, Shelly, thank you so much. That was very valuable insight. I'm sure people can learn something from that. And thank you again for joining International Print Day 2023.
I will say probably the part about if you're asking about tripped us up, when we were with the past platform, everything we kept crossing against was our team feeling confident in selling it, because they wanted to make sure that if they told their customer that it did this and that it was going to give them these results, that it happened, because there's nothing worse than promising something that you can't deliver on. And we at Kessler do not like to do that. So, and my sales team was like, they walk cautiously, because they said, we have to make sure that if we tell our client that it's going to work, that it's going to work. And so, and I say that we were with that other platform for a couple of years, and we tested a lot of different things, but they never felt overly confident to be able to full force sell it. And I think with the latest company that we've been talking to, they feel more confident because they've got the support that they need, and that organization can tell us too, well, here's proven track record of how that works for this type of industry, and we'll help you with it and make sure and guide you so that what you're selling to your customer is what they're going to get.
All right. Well, if you had one bit of advice to leave the audience with, for that most of these people who are listening now are printers. They might be printers and mailers. They might be commercial. They might be transaction processors who print bills. Like what would you say about handling the offline and online world that is just one nugget of advice that you would give them?
Well, I think the main advice comes back to, if you're doing this for business purposes, understanding your desired outcomes and how to measure them is the most important thing, right? We wouldn't fly a plane without some flight controls and knowing where we want to go. And I think a lot of times digital, again, is very appealing because it gives you lots of numbers, clicks and click-throughs and all sorts of stuff. But ultimately, you have to figure out for your type of business, are you trying to get people to buy something online, come into a store, redeem a coupon, sign up for something, opt in for something? There's so many different business objectives, and making sure that you know how you're going to measure for them before you get off onto some flight of fancy with new technology. And so there's a lot of great ways to do things, but I think that my best advice is begin with the end in mind, figure out how you're going to measure your way to get there, and that'll give you a benchmark to rapidly fail quickly to get to the desired outcome.
That's great advice. Yep. Always have the business need. Don't chase the the technology just for the sake of chasing the technology or so on. Yeah, that's great advice. Okay. So yeah, that's again, good piece of advice from all those people. I would say that, and I know we need to wrap here, but they, you know, it's not just the technology. I would say that when you start going down this road, that you really need to look at, you know, the business problems you're going to solve and look at it from the consumer perspective, right? When you start getting into these cross-channel communications, it's less about the pieces. I mean, of course, the message has to be sent at the right time and all that, but it's consumer based.
Yeah. And I'm just going to say this because it is about customer convenience. And if printers aren't thinking about how to get as many services that they can offer or partners under one roof, so they can say yes to any request or say, let me check on that and I'll get back to you, and find a partner to manifest it, then enjoy yourself fighting over 3 cents of a postcard for everybody else. And you aren't a partner in that process. You aren't part of the growth of that company, and you aren't contributing to the growth of your own printing business. So Matt is actually going to host with Racami a breakout room. If you're interested in learning more about alchemy, if you can't make the breakout room, they're at almost every printing event. Go find them. Support the companies that support the industry and that support the Printiverse. So thank you so much, Matt. It is always, always a pleasure. We will be back in a moment with a Direct Mail 2.0. What a great little technology section we have here. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks, everyone.